Okay, so we want to blur the background a little more in this photo. And normally lens blur would be perfect for this, but I'm going to show how to do it with Gaussian blur. First you want to select the subject, so I already made a selection here, so I'm just going to select the dog. And I'm going to inverse this, Shift Control I. Now this is what happens if you just try and blur the background with Gaussian blur. See how the white of the dog, especially around the legs here, goes into the grass. We don't want that. So I'm going to cancel that. And I'm going to cancel my selection for a minute. I'm going to duplicate my background layer. And I'm also going to put the dog on its own layer. So I'm going to make the selection again and Shift or Control J, and that will put the dog on its own layer. For now I'm going to turn that layer off and go back to this layer. Now what we want to do is bring pixels from the grass into the dog, so we can do that with content aware, or I'm going to use the clone stamp for that, just to bring a little bit in, and just so the blur isn't picking up the actual dog. Just need to do just enough so you don't start to pull the different shades, like the whiter shades, into the surrounding area. So just making this real dirty. Okay, there we have the dog's pretty messed up, but I'm going to make this selection again, and you can see that there's green in the selection. Now I'm going to invert that selection again, Control Shift I, and now I'm going to blur this layer. So we'll go with Gaussian blur and blur it to how much we want. Let's just make it really noticeable. And see, you can see on the edges of the selection, it's not pulling white in, or maybe a little there because I missed, but that's okay for the demonstration. Okay, so that's your blur. And we'll deselect that layer. Now, I want to, we'll turn our dog on here now. See, the whole layer is blurred, but we want to just blur part of it and have it, the feet in focus where the grass is. So we're going to add a layer mask, and we're going to do a gradient blur. And so we're just going to put the thing down here and drag up, and there you can see it added the layer mask, or the gradient. Actually, I'm on the wrong type. I want a linear gradient. There we go. Let's try that. That's a little better. So now you have the foreground where the dog is standing in focus, but the background is sharp, and there's no haloing from the dog into the grass.